Hey guys, hope everyone is having a good Sunday evening. I hope the weekends come to a nice, slow, easy end so that you can get ready for work tomorrow and just whatever the week throws at us. I've been wanting to make this video for a couple of days now. I'm just now having the time, but basically we're just gonna go over a couple of events that happened over the course of last week. I wanted to start off with the tragic plane crashes, the one in Philly and then also the one in DC. Both of them highly tragic. I'm sure heart goes out to the families affected, both the civilian families and the service families. The um, plane crash in Philly was a lot smaller, but like I said, it's still very sad. They're attributing that to a malfunction with the actual aircraft, so it seems like it's a lot more straightforward than the Washington D.C. crash. That's the one that's, I believe, been all over the news lately and is stirring up a lot of drama. And I did want to touch on that one a little bit. In case you missed some of the details, there was a crash involving two aircraft. One, the Black Hawk chopper, carrying three Army personnel. They were on what was supposed to be a standard path for an annual training flight of some kind. I say it's supposed to be on a standard path because they're saying that there's a chance that they could have been operating at a higher elevation than they should have. Whether that directly caused the crash or not is still yet to be confirmed. There's going to be a lot of details coming out as they do their investigations. This helicopter collided with an American Airlines jet that was carrying 64 people. That includes the flight crew. And as they collided midair, they fell into the Potomac River. And at this time of year, it's freezing. So it didn't take long for the rescue mission to turn into a recovery mission. You know what I mean? So very sad. I tried to put myself in the shoes of like the service family. When someone's deployed and they're overseas, I'm sure there's a certain risk, that it's an inherent risk that you take, and you know that there's a chance that they don't come back. That's just part of it. But I feel like if they're stateside and they're, stationed at a fort and they're doing routine stuff, to get a call like that, I'm sure is that much more devastating, and their world is just flipped on its head. And so heart goes out to them. I hope they get the closure that they need, which would involve answers. Why did this happen? How could it have been avoided? And Trump has come out. He's called out DEI initiatives and programs that were pushed into the FAA. There's actually a lawsuit that was filed against him some years ago, involving um, hiring processes that were changed back in 2014 to make it so that minorities were preferred candidates. And there's been some details saying that they fired a number of employees in order to rehire these diversity hires. Problem is they haven't been able to fill those positions, and so the FAA has actually been understaffed, and that specific tower that was involved in this crash, they were understaffed. And so to me, when you have those working conditions, it's only going to lead to inefficiencies and ultimately to accidents. And this is a horrible way to find out and to bring to light these issues. It's tragic that it had to happen this way, but I do hope that now people are going to kind of open their eyes and see that you have to prioritize competency over diversity. There's no question about it. When as a therapist, I work with a diverse group of people, professionals. Never do we think that just because someone is more diverse that they're actually going to be better at saving lives because of it. you have to be competent, and no one that's actually, coming to the hospital and sick and needing help is going to ask, oh, actually, I prefer the Hispanic, uh, please, or the black guy or the white guy or whoever. They just want to be taken care of, and I believe that, the people that label anyone who just hints that DEI is wrong or inefficient, automatically you're a racist or misogynist, and you just you can't think that way. DEI, it sounds great at first, on paper maybe, but there's risks involved, and we're seeing them now. I do hope that they can clean it up, they can make it better, and like I said, do what they need to do to prevent accidents like this from happening again. One thing's for sure, Sean Duffy, the new transportation secretary, is going to have a lot to do, this first month, and going forward. The next point I wanted to touch on was the new and improved press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Talk about a complete 180 from what we had in this position the last 4 years. She has character, she's intelligent, she's confident, and most of all, she's a pro. I mean, she shows up to those press briefings prepared, like more prepared than anybody. A lot of people criticized that her pick, I guess, because she's only 27 years old. So they say, oh, she doesn't have the experience and blah blah blah. But did they forget that during Trump's first term, she was assistant press secretary? So she's got real world experience directly relating to this position. And she worked under Caroline Leavitt, who was a great press secretary, in her own right. So undoubtedly, she learned a lot, and was able to get, you know, real world experience, but also see a great press secretary at work. And so I believe she's pretty much taken up that mantle. She's picking up where Kayla left off. A lot of people, like I said, want to criticize things that she says, and like as directly as she says them. For example, she said that wokeness will have no place in that press room. The ladies, well, I don't want to call them ladies, just the women on The View, they, clutched their pearls at that. Apparently, and this was Whoopi's take on it, Whoopi's wise words. She said that Caroline wouldn't have that position without wokeness. I was like, whoa. And this is, a group of women who supposedly champion women's rights, and, they want to be, these people that want equal rights and all this like that for women and for everyone, right? But yet they can't just applaud that a woman such as Caroline, who's intelligent, confident, and of character, can achieve the level of success that she has achieved simply because she's good. This is beyond hypocritical for them to say those things. I think a lot of people just hate watch the View now. But if you watch any clips, they take themselves so seriously. I roll my eyes the whole time that I'm watching them. Back to Caroline, she doesn't seem phased by any of the critics or anything like that. Thank goodness, because she does a great job. Of course, compared to KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, a lot of people could have done a better job. She does, between her flipping through her encyclopedia of lies and bullshit to like her never ending blinking and stuttering, to get through just easy questions. We, for a long time, I felt like we didn't get clear, concise information from the White House because, the press secretary was just horrible. And to, I guess, her defense, she was covering for just a very, like a lame duck president, pretty much. So, regardless, put simply, this is what competency looks like. at this level. So I'm excited to see the next the next 4 years, clear, concise, competent information coming from the press briefings. The next point I wanted to hit on was the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, freezing grant money to NGOs. That's a really big one. I know that there was a lot more to that that kind of was mixed into it. I just want to focus on the freezing of the grant money to NGOs specifically. And also, just really quick on Kristi, she is, you know, strong woman, trailblazer in her own right. So definitely a great asset to the administration. And what her reasoning was to freeze this money was that these NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, have been facilitating, not all of them, certain ones, have been facilitating illegal immigrants crossing into our country. And she was interviewed by Will Kane on Fox, and her direct quote was, "We're not spending another dime to help the destruction of this country." That's how can you argue with that? NGOs, turns out, have very little oversight. They have loose requirements and weak vetting, so all this kind of combines to promote just a weak level of accountability. And they're easy to take advantage of. A lot of people even think of them as just like shell companies. Basically, once the money gets approved, it gets sent over, and then it's gone. No one keeps track of it. Those are that's like our money, our taxpayer money. And so, me personally, I want to know how it's getting spent. You know, that it's going to where it's supposed to be going, and that's what she's wanting to do. She's freezing it until they can vet these NGOs a little bit better. Obviously, we can't be funding people to break the law. You know, that there's just, it's crazy that, you know, the loopholes that exist and the way the system is flawed so that people can take advantage is just outrageous. It's not just the danger of these NGOs, you know, facilitating illegal crossings, though. Do y'all remember the NGO called Eco Health Alliance? You know, and everything that they were involved in with, you know, their dealings with the little lab in Wuhan, China. Yeah, you know, facilitating gain of function research that, oddly enough, you know, hey, it was right around the time that the pandemic kicked off, and all this kind of stuff is all documented. It's widely publicized. You know, that was an NGO. Where did they get their funding? Well, it turns out the National Institute of Health. And who was the poster boy for the NIH? You know, the one that just received a preemptive pardon by Biden before he left office. If you have time and are interested, I invite you to pull on that thread and see what you unravel. You will not be disappointed. Getting back to the NGOs, why they're just bad news if taken advantage of, right? Because I'm sure there's some good quality, you know, people that are affiliated with some solid NGOs that are actually doing what they say they're doing. But we're talking about just how easy it is to take advantage of them. And unfortunately, there's been hundreds of NGOs that are taking advantage of this lack of accountability. There is widespread knowledge of certain NGOs that are actually funding terrorism to the tune of like $10 million in a report that was done in January 2024. There's evidence that the government was, for a stretch of time, you know, sending $40 million a week to these terror organizations in some way, shape, or form. What do you think they're doing with it? You think they're just feeding themselves, clothing themselves? No, they're buying weapons, they're investing in training, they're leveling up. These are not just crude and small-time organizations anymore. If you haven't checked out Sean Ryan's show, I implore you to do so. He's got some great content. He's bringing to light so many details that as civilians we just overlook, or we don't care. just being honest, a lot of times we're so involved with our own lives and everything that we just don't have the time or the interest to invest in following, these particular stories. And if I can make a suggestion, look up, three guests. Sarah Adams, who is a CIA targeter, loads of information, like just a crazy amount of time spent following these terror organizations. Those two videos of hers are great. There's one with a former Green Beret named Scott Mann, who also tons of information about these organizations, how they break down, how they're moving, how they're getting funded. And then last but certainly not least, one with Legend. This is a name, it's an alias to protect his identity, but he has first-hand knowledge of everything going down over there in the Middle East. So when you got time, check those out. You will not be disappointed. The last point that I kind of want to hit on has to do with the confirmation hearings, specifically RFK. That was so frustrating to watch. This guy, everyone's got their demons and everything. Everyone has their past. But that aside, he's trying to help make America healthy again. And to see the way that he was treated, it was a shameful display by the Democrats. Obviously, everyone knows he's got that speech issue. It's called spasmodic dysphonia. I looked it up. And so, it makes it easier for them to cut him off, to interrupt him time and time again. It was brutal. And I'm glad that he was able to take it and make, his points. I do believe that a lot of that is just signals fear from these bureaucrats. They know that there's a reckoning coming, that Trump and this new administration poses a threat to their way of life. These people that have accepted, donations by their lobbyists and everything, become millionaires, become rich, simply by playing the game and being, involved in politics. They know that their time is running low. So that they're going to do all that they can to prevent that end from coming. The confirmation hearings themselves are just, I feel like, a huge waste of time. If Trump won, he should be able to get the people in to his cabinet, the ones that he needs and wants. And if they don't work out, then yeah, we should be able to send them on their way. Let's get someone in new. But until then, give them a chance. See how it goes. They talk about these like overgeneralized questions. They're vague questions. Sometimes a question within a question, and as RFK tried to answer them, they're like, oh, yes or no, yes or no, and again, just adds to my feeling that it's just a huge waste of time. There is a common thread, though, that I'm seeing, with all these hearings. You're hearing the word disruptor a lot. I think that's one of the right wing's talking points, but it's true. These guys, these picks, guys and girls, they're change agents. They want people to think outside of the box, and that's exactly what they're going to want to do. And they are going to be labeled as these disruptors, which I think is a pretty cool name. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to start a discussion in the comment section. I do check the comments quite a bit. Be happy to go over opinions and takes and all this kind of stuff with y'all. Also, if there's certain topics that y'all want me to hit on, that maybe you heard about something but you just don't have the time to invest to go down the rabbit hole, mention the topic. If I find that it's relatable and of interest to me and to the audience that I'm trying to reach, I will definitely give it a look and see what I can find out for y'all. And I hope that I can make another video before going back to work this week. If not, then it's probably going to be another, week until you see a video pop up. But thanks for coming back, and y'all have a good rest of the evening.